East up, A-Town. Yeah! Okay! Usher, 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 usher. Lil Jon! Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh my God, it's a 4-2-5 defense. All you gotta do is blitz more. All they gotta do is fire Eric Glenn, and then they can start winning again. They're so stupid.
Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. I knew we could have won state, man. I know I came in a little bit overweight, but I'm gonna do much better next time. One pride, let's go. Woo!
Check 1, 2. Hey, check 1, 2. How you feeling out there? Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Check 1, 2.
Sell the team, bro. Sell the team. 1957. Ain't won shit since 1957. They need to sell the team. They ain't never gonna do nothing. Same old lines.
Football Talk with Russell Wayne. We're getting this thing started.
If there's any haters in here right now that don't have nobody to hate on, feel free to hate on me. Sit back there and say my hair ain't luxurious when you know it is, bitch.
Ooh. I might not be able to keep that drop.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win.
You ever meet somebody and they're so boring you feel like they poisoned you?
Here's the thing, though. What I've been doing is 3:30 every morning. I get up and I do my sprints. Yeah, I mean, those are prime sprinting hours. People don't realize. And that's how I know I'm succeeding, is if I'm doing my sprints while everyone else is asleep. It's a winning mindset is what it is. That's exactly what it is.
There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious.
I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean I make medicine sick.
It's not fair. They were so happy. It's not gonna be okay.
What's going on, Russell Wayne and the Main Event 365 Network? This is Jason Kabinda from the Detroit Lions. Here to give y'all a shout out, man. We appreciate all the support, man. Know you guys are big fans. Know that you guys are rooting for us to take the North this year, and we're going to do just that, man. Appreciate you guys so much. Just want to give y'all a shout out. Y'all have a great day.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, put a hell yeah into the comments. Yeah, we can hear you. Loud and clear, they say. I'm trying some new stuff today. And I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome one, welcome all. Oh, gosh, under the high definition, I look like crap right there. But, yes, I'm using some new stuff today. Welcome one, welcome all. This is Football Talk with Russell Wayne right here, and that is me. And we're broadcasting live into the Detroit Lions News Podcast. And we are also broadcasting live into the Detroit Lions Villain Squad page right there. Thank you for following the page. We are almost at 46,000 followers, or 46,000 villains that went on this awesome trip with us last year for our Detroit Lions. And we're in the off season right now. And here we are. Yes, the Main Event Network. We are doing some content 365 days a year. And here we are in the off season, but they've given us a calendar. They've given us something that we can use. And February 20th, yesterday, we just hit that spot in the off season where franchise tag and transition players, you can get that business done. I don't think that the Lions have anything really to do there. So we're not really going to be hitting too much of that right there. But what I really wanted to get into today, obviously, we cut Tracy Walker, as Chad was saying in the comments right there. And I want to say hello to everybody. First of all, there is Chad in the comments right there. We got Donkey Kong, Super Bowl or bust right there. Scotty Reno in the house says, good morning, everybody.
You like that?
I definitely like that. Do you hear the?
You like that?
Can you guys hear the?
The champ is here.
The champ is here. Can you guys hear that?
The champ is here.
Right there. Put a shout out to Steve. What up, Russell? Lions love muscle. Love the show. Well, thank you, Steve. Dave Eastman's in the house. Hell yeah. Dwayne's in the house. Now we know who we're talking to right here. And Dwayne is correct. Saving $5.5 million against the cap. I mean, does anybody disagree with that move? That's what I'll ask first, because I don't think anybody's going to disagree, but I would love to hear your disagreement if that's what you're doing. And I am going to put the music on a little bit in the background, because I kind of like that. When Mike comes on, I might take it off, but I definitely like having it in the background. But the Lions cut Tracy Walker. They save $5.5 million against the cap. And let me go in here and open it up, overthecap.com. Oh, I got this new hardware in here with and thank you to Hunter for allowing me to use his sweet new stuff that he's got. Yep. Cap space, free agency. What do we got? The Lions have now over $50 million worth of cap space. And Jeremy was going over this a little bit earlier this morning. If you guys caught Jeremy's show, Smoking Jeremy B, doing the show in the morning. And this is really all we had to talk about. We just got this free agency stuff. And I do have another subject in there, but who do you want the Lions to go after? I mean, that's a lot of money that they'll have. And there's some other things that they can do to free up some more cap space. On top of that, I do think that they'll be able to go and snag up, one of the higher priority free agents that are out there. So, what do you think that they should do with the $50 million? I mean, if you extend Jared Goff and the way the contracts work, you could free up some more money. I mean, that's another thing that we can talk about, and it's out there. Is extending Goff a priority this offseason? I think if you're serious about going to the Super Bowl, and Jared Goff has done you right, regardless of what everybody has said, he's been a top 10 quarterback 2 out of the 3 years that he was here. And right now, he's sitting on no guaranteed money. And he isn't making a stink about it too either, guys. The thing is like, I don't know too many players that could be going into the final year of a contract with no guaranteed money and not at least be, throwing a tweet out there or something saying, hey, gosh, if I get, a freak accident happens to me, you guys could just cut me and save the entire contract. I mean, what are you going to do about that? You got to extend him. I think it's a necessity. I mean, if you have any respect for the guy, and by the way, he took you to the NFC Championship, which no other quarterback has done since 1991. I mean, what are you going to do? So, has he earned the contract extension? Well, hell yeah, he has. Can anybody say that he hasn't earned his extension? I mean, Jared Goff came here and got the extension right off the bat and played it out. And outside of that first year, he has finished as a top 10 quarterback both years that he has played. How do you not extend him? So I don't think I'll get very much pushback. Let me see what we got here in the comments on it. Jared Goff. Chad says Danielle Hunter or bust. Chad says the audio is great. Even these extra guys.
We're going to bite a kneecap off. We're going to bite a kneecap off.
So maybe that is. Maybe my hardware wasn't that good because my son has an awesome computer. And I'm still getting used to it, but this thing's badass. It's like driving a real nice car. But I don't know what all the buttons do yet. But I like the idea of Danielle Hunter. Does that mean that we are re-signing CJGJ? That's a great question. Man, maybe I'm changing subjects too fast here. We can get back in here. We'll get this Tracy Walker stuff back up there. I think that might mean that, Chad. I think that's a great call. CJGJ, if they're not going to have Walker. I mean, that safety room was loaded. They couldn't get them all on the field. I mean, nobody would deny that we need cornerback help. Steve says he's not losing any sleep over Walker. Wish him well. Yeah, he did well for us. And then we drafted Brian Branch. You got CJGJ in there. Kirby Joseph's doing well. Ifeatu Melifonwu breaking out. We wish you the best. We just can't pay $8 million to a special teamer that's a healthy scratch in the 3 most important games that you're playing. I love you, Tracy.
You like that?
You did a great job for us. But I remember Greg Rice on this show saying when they had made the contract extension for Tracy Walker a few years back that Tracy Walker was Lions good. And I think them cutting him right now proves that point. Back then, Lions good was, somebody that could start all the games and not be an embarrassment to you. And that's what he was. But fortunately for the Lions, they've upgraded that position so much with Kirby, Ifeatu, and Brian Branch that Lions good isn't good enough anymore. That Lions good, that bar has been pushed up. So this is a sign that Brad Holmes is drafting well. Sarah says that she does not like this time slot. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm living in this world that I can't please everybody. We got Smoking Jeremy B still in the morning slot, but this slot works good for my children and my wife. And we still get a chance to talk football. Plus, this time slot, if anything, Sarah, I would go later. I may go later when it comes to in the season. But what I'm trying to do is get my West Coast guys on here. And some of those guys, you know, if I'm going at 11 o'clock in the morning, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning over there. So Scotty says it sounds better than ever. I'm glad to hear that. I feel like maybe Hunter just has better stuff. Dwayne says keep Goff and keep the offense on track, in track. Yes, I agree with that. Jared Goff has been awesome. And the thing is, I'm looking at these, you know, the salary cap stuff here. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. I can share my screen. Check this out. So, let me get this thing out of the way so you can look at it. There you go. Maybe can I zoom it in a little bit? Let me see what I can do. There. But you see Jared Goff, when you look at those numbers over on the side, that guaranteed money where the zero is, it's like you can't do that to the guy. You can't do that to Goff. The guy's played well for you. That's disrespectful. I absolutely think that they should extend him, and it's a 100% priority and has nothing to do with the cap money that they'd be saving. I mean, they would save cap money. Look at the cap number over there. That's $32 million, right? With that base salary at $22 million, you can convert that entire base salary, you know, all the way down to, like, it could be $1.5 million. And they could convert all the rest of it to salary, to a signing bonus. And then they free up all that cap space for this year because the base salary is only $1 million or whatever. And as we welcome Main Event Mike to the program, how you doing, Main Event Mike?
You like that? I'm good, thanks. Sorry I'm late. I've been haggling with this guy on eBay trying to return my Tracy Walker jersey.
Oh man, do you have a comment on that? Let me get this thing out of the way here so you can get in there. You want to comment on Tracy Walker?
So long, Tracy Walker. It was great. We loved you. It was heartbreaking when you blew out your Achilles in Minnesota. Russell was there for that. So
yep.
You're free of the jinx, my friend. Go on and have a great career. You were a class act when you were a Detroit Lion. We loved having you. Unfortunately, you gave up a big touchdown in the Chicago Bears loss in Chicago, and you never saw the field the rest of the year. So I think, like one of the commenters I was reading said, sorry, Tracy, not everyone could be a Lion. Brad Holmes said it.
Yeah, and I just brought up the thing about Greg Rice a year ago, or almost 2 years ago, when they did make that extension. That he said that he was Lions good, and I think that you would agree with me that the bar for what Lions good has definitely raised. And yeah, he played all the games. You know, he wasn't an embarrassment when he was out there, and that used to be good enough for the Lions. But now with Brian Branch, with the
yeah, that's a great point.
Lions good, just that bar got raised, so that Lions good kind of squeezed him out, and it really just shows you right here. You know, you save $5.5 million. And we were going over the cap number. You see that number goes up over here. We got that $50 million up in that upper right-hand corner for 2024. So, Brad Holmes doing his thing, man. Dwayne says he wants to keep Goff and keep the offense on track. And I was agreeing with him as you came onto the show, just to kind of bring you back up to speed and where we were.
Especially when you take into account that Ben Johnson is staying. That highlights that even more. The continuity of keeping Goff here and keeping the train rolling.
Yeah. Yep. And what I'm trying to point out when I'm doing, I always put Capology on there because I'm going to offer this every time that we talk about it, just in case somebody's brand new to how that this move, this extension, this natural progression of keeping good players, you can get equity, right? They extended him when they very first got him here, and he played out that entire contract all the way up until here we are going into a contract year. And if you look next to Jared Goff's name on the fourth bar over the guaranteed salary, that says 0. The same thing with Taylor Decker. These are two people that to me would be high priorities to make sure that they extend, and not to save money this year or whatever, to keep your good players and make sure that they don't go into the season without any guaranteed money. Because if Taylor Decker blows his ACL out, on some freak accident, they could cut him, save $18 million, and they don't have to pay him anything. That's not fair. I mean, that's just proper business says that Brad Holmes is probably going to extend both of these guys. And the cool thing is when you look at base salary numbers over there next to Jared Goff and Taylor Decker, that is all of the money that they could convert to signing bonuses when they extend him for every many years. And you can extend that out as far as you want. And they won't have to pay for that this year. You can lower that number to whatever number you want it to be, other than negative. You can lower it all the way down to $1 million if you wanted to. So there's another $40 million that's available in equity. We bought Brad Holmes made a good investment, right? You brought these guys in. Now they're in the final year of their deal. Now we can take a loan out on our investment. We've already paid the bank, for all that money. Is that a good analogy, Mike?
Man, that's a great. You're spot on. I mean, you're making a dummy like me understand that. So yeah, absolutely. That's what I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Those are the guys. There's an extra $20 million sitting there because of that fourth column over.
So for those people that think that extending Jared Goff means that that $50 million is all gone, it's quite the opposite of that. Because if you look over at the cap number, they already had $50 million that was sitting there that was supposed to be that for this year, right? It's not like that's going to count more against the cap. It's already counting $50 million against the cap.
Baked in, yeah.
So I hope that helps. I'm going to do that every day. Whoops. Well, I'm going to do that. Hit the wrong button. I'm going to do that every day that we're on here, just in case somebody doesn't understand that. And actually, it should excite you, because that should tell you how much flexibility that our GM has this offseason. And when they say they're going to go for a Super Bowl, I believe them. And that's my man right there, Brad Holmes.
It's my quarterback.
Executive of the year.
Executive of the year, and absolutely deserved it.
And runner-up for Villain Squad Lion of the Year. That should be noted.
Right, and he doesn't even play on the field. That's how badass he is. That he can be Lion of the Year without even being a player. But I also want to talk about something here. If I don't know if you want to comment on it. Justin Fields was on the Amon-Ra Equiminius St. Brown podcast and kind of called out Alex Anzalone for being a dirty player. You have any comment on that?
Well, he was called for a penalty for hitting the legs of Justin Fields in the Chicago game. But if you watch that, he was blocked into him. His motion was already going forward, and he ended up hitting Justin right in the shins, which is a no-no, and he was called for the penalty, but it wasn't his trajectory originally. He was altered by a blocker. I don't know. I did not hear the podcast and know if that's what he's referring to, But we watched every snap of every game this year, Russell. And you know a dirty player when you see one. Alex Anzalone's just a high motor, high grit guy. And sometimes I think that could be misconstrued.
I think that the play that he was talking about that he referred to was the one where he was running out of bounds and he was trying to skate an extra yard, and he completely hit him legally, but it was right on that line, right as he was kind of giving himself up, and he hit him. And
that was in the Detroit. That was in Detroit for that one. Right.
Right.
Oh, that's two altercations right there last year where Justin Fields got racked by Anzalone in one way or another. And now he's calling him a dirty player. I don't know about that. The players know better than we do, right? They're the ones out there. Some guy's twisting your nipple when you're in the pile. They know better than we do.
Nipple.
Yeah. Titty tornado.
I think
I'm using that as an example, but if they're doing something sneaky under there in the pile, they know better than we do. But at face value, for two guys that watched every snap of every game, hard for me to decipher where dirty player comes in.
I can't give it too much credence because when you got slippery players like that, what they like to do is they like to go against that rule and go right up against the line of it, and get extra yards here and there, right? And if he's got his foot in bounds, it is legal to take that dude's head off in that legal way and shove him out of bounds or do whatever he's going to do. So if you're going to take those little liberties trying to get that little extra yards, you got to put up with the consequences of it.
Unless you're Patrick Mahomes, then it's a penalty.
Well, it might be a penalty, but the thing is it would be a dumb penalty because I remember looking at that play and he was absolutely inbounds. It was one of those things where he was running out of bounds and it was obvious he was going to, but he was still in bounds when he hit him. So
did you actually listen to the podcast?
I didn't. I listened to that part of it while they were talking.
I haven't heard it at all. I'm intrigued about it, and I'm going to listen to it because I want to hear how Alex Anzalone. I wonder if he explained, where that's coming from.
Yeah, I didn't hear any rebuttal or anything on there. I just heard the whining, and I was already done with it. I mean, seriously, the Lions play hard, and they play right up to the whistle, and they don't want to be dirty. That's why I didn't like that Chauncey Gardner hit in the NFC Championship on Deebo Samuel. I'm like, stop that shit. That's not the dirty that you want. But you do want a guy that will play right to the whistle and a quarter second beyond. Playing all the way hard. And this is something that Chad put up in the comments a little bit earlier. He's Danielle Hunter or bust.
Wouldn't 99 look good on the other end of Aiden Hutchinson on that defensive line? And Aleem McNeil takes another step in the middle. We could be a real force to be reckoned with. Steve in the comments says, with a solid pass rush, DBs don't have to be great, just good. That's such a great point. So one thing begets the other, right? You get a good pass rush. The guy's not back there for days to wind his watch and make a pitcher of lemonade before he finds his receiver. So, yeah, Danielle Hunter, 16 sacks this year. He's a beast. And he's an unrestricted free agent.
Fred Peterson says, unfortunately, not everybody can be a Lion. And thank you for the years, Tracy. And yeah, thank you. That's our Patreon right there, Fred Peterson. In with the comment. Gotta like that. You think about it, a player like Fields, as fast and elusive as he is, running at full speed will gain another half a yard or a yard with a single step. So you got to get him out of bound ASAP. So I agree with that. I mean, you do everything within the rules. I like that, playing right up to the whistle. What I didn't like was the CJGJ extra hit out of bounds. That's the BS stuff. That's the stuff we're going to do without. And
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there are a few corners in free agency that look intriguing. But to the point we're making here, if you do get a guy like Danielle Hunter before the draft, now you can focus the draft on the best ready-to-play corner coming out of college and figure out where you got to be in the draft to get the guy you want. And that's what we talked about yesterday, right? Was once the Lions identify that guy, whether it be D lineman or corner, they need to get free agency sorted out to decide where they're looking.
I'm getting some free agency stuff up right there. We go. That's what I'm looking for.
Detroit Fan Man says, can Danielle Hunter only be the backup plan if we can't get Bryce Huff? Now, Bryce Huff plays linebacker, if I'm not mistaken, though, Fan Man.
So I wanted to kind of look at some of these, what we needed right here, right? So you would say that we want these edge defenders, right? And this is the PFF version of all the top free agents. And that's going to be really the next thing that we're going to do, because, we can talk about these possible guys that are going to be in the draft, but this is the next thing that is going to happen. But so I just kind of want to look at edge defenders and interior defenders right here. Now, they predict that Josh Allen's going to get a franchise tag, and they predict that Brian Burns is going to get a franchise tag, but they don't have that for Chris Jones. So would you think about taking a run at Chris Jones with all this cap money?
What's the price tag on him? Does it say there?
It says there that he's going to try to get $30 million a year, but I mean, these guys are always, this is overblown. They always, this is, well, maybe sometimes they are.
So realistically, though, we're still talking 25. That's edge rusher, right?
Right.
And then you're going to have to pay that to Aiden Hutchinson next year, or the year after, or the year after.
He's an interior.
Chris Jones is.
Yes.
Right.
So
that's the top. That's the top then for interior defensive tackles. Don't make as much as edges. So if he's going for 30 mil, he's looking to break the bank and top out his position.
So now, and this is when you say the PFF rank, when you see that on left, that's overall. Like that's everybody. That's wide receivers, running backs, overall. So you can tell how much value they put on these free agent guys right here. But these are two more defensive interior guys, and yeah, this is too much money, isn't it? I mean, they're saying 1 year, $20 million. They would have to do better than that if they were going to play with us, right?
Yeah, there's a guy I like that's going to be a free agent from Miami, not Christian Wilkins. His name is Van Ginkel. He's young, got a lot of promise.
I mean, here they're saying $20 million a year for Danielle Hunter.
Sounds right.
That sounds. You take one of these guys for sure. I mean, I like Leonard Williams. I mean, that looks even better.
So what do they have Bryce Huff as, an edge or as an outside linebacker?
They got him as an edge.
Okay.
And they're saying $16 million a year.
Now that's what Detroit Fan Man's talking about right there. You're basically getting Danielle Hunter, but cheaper and younger.
Yeah, I like that, because that's kind of like you're looking for the best second tier, like price tag. Who's the first guy that's gonna not charge me $20 million a year? And then in walks Bryce Huff. Right there. That's a good one right there. And then the one right below him right there, DJ Reader. I mean, only 29 years old.
He's a good player. Chase Young, pass
Young. Yeah. I mean, this
Davian
guy comes
Clowney,
from the
pass.
good, but not Jonathan Grenard.
Yeah, I don't know enough about him.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it, but he comes from that Houston pedigree.
Right, but I expect that because Will Anderson broke out so good, that's why this guy's gone.
Okay. Zadarius
there you go.
Smith.
Now there you go. Zadarius Smith is a beast.
Boy, he'd love rushing back against Green Bay, wouldn't he?
Minnesota.
So that's possible.
Yeah, he played for Minnesota and Green Bay.
I don't know these guys. Oh, there's Leonard Floyd.
Leonard Floyd's older, veteran guy. Don't know how much juice there's in the tank there. I don't think that's a route that the Lions are looking to go unless it's a 1-year deal. There's a guy. There's my guy, Andrew Van Ginkel. Look at that guy and put him right next to Alex Anzalone. We got Swedish supergroup ABBA on the team.
Well, we got to be careful with these abomination years because when you look over, he did really have a great year. But I mean, it looks like you can get him kind of cheap. Mm-hmm. So,
what's it saying there? They expect his salary would be 2 years,
6.5 a year.
See, now that's what I'm talking about. And then you get him there with Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn to develop him even more. And you've got something going with this guy.
I like that. You like that.
You like that. Kirk Cousins likes it.
Yeah. And this is one that's been off-season mocked to us. Sheldon Rankins,
Mm-hmm.
10 million a year, defensive interior. I mean, I like these ideas of like finishing off a room. Like I feel good with a Sheldon Rankins right next to Aleem McNeil.
Me too.
All year long. So I expect them to make a move like this. And that's not that's not breaking the bank.
Right. You look at Sheldon Rankin or Van Ginkel or DJ Reader, a guy like that's not top end money, but you're still paying him because you're getting good value, but not top end money. And what that could be, like you said, Sheldon Rankins, that's an upgrade from what we've got going on there now.
And the number 6 now, the 64 here. Autry. This is one that I've heard. I mean, he's older, but somebody that, coming from Tennessee, coming from where our new defensive tackles coach came from.
That's right.
So you might look at that at it being like that. So you never know.
Mm-hmm. And we
familiarity.
Saw the Titans get rid of Kevin Byard at the end of the season. We see them shopping Derrick Henry now as a free agent, so letting him go. Danico Autry, maybe another guy that Tennessee's part of their rebuild, have to shed these contracts.
And so below him too is a 26-year-old. As a Tier Tart. I've heard that name floated around, or at least read that name floated around. And another Tennessee Titan. So
Fletcher Cox, if she asks.
Oh my gosh, there we go. Dorrance Armstrong, you know anything about him?
No, I'm just glad my name isn't Dorrance.
Fletcher Cox. I mean, I think they'll probably stay away from the older players. So this is just a look. This is straight from PFF. I just kind of want to give you guys something to kind of look at and see what is available out there. Calais Campbell, Brandon Graham. These guys are older players.
Daquan Jones.
Yeah.
These are depth pieces for Buffalo and Philadelphia respectively.
So let's go back up and I like that. Let me see what we got in the comments right here. Anything on those guys?
How about that one? Ted Boss says, all we really need is someone to take the double teams away from Hutch. But Smith and Hutch would be fire.
Well, I think that you can do that in two ways. I mean, you can either get another dominator like Danielle Hunter to be on the other side, or any one of these defensive tackles that are just people eaters. You put them in the middle. You're hoping that your two defensive tackles are going to eat up, 3 or 4 of the blockers.
Mm-hmm.
And Hutch is hard to block one-on-one. So, however, you can get that to happen.
Yeah, Fred, that's it.
What happened?
No, nothing. Just
yeah.
Cut ups in the comments. But Rebecca says, what? You guys do the show all year round? That's right, Rebecca. It's the main event 365 days a year. We're putting out football content. Me and Russ talk about football every day, whether there was a podcast or not. So we might as well share it with you and our friends.
Yeah, and join the conversation. You know, I know that we have said, you know, a bunch of times, you know, hey, here's this place. Go follow us at Detroit Lions Villain Squad. And it's not just some clever push. We have all kinds of cool conversations on there. We put content on there 365 days a year. And that doesn't mean that it's always our stupid faces talking about football. Sometimes the conversation is in the post. It's in the post. We're asking questions, and we want you to be part of the conversation. We did put up a Tracy Walker post, and there was all kinds of people from the Villains that were in there saying thank you and
making great points too, by the way, and you know, making points that we wouldn't have otherwise thought of, and helps us get a further understanding of everything we're up here yakking about. So really appreciate everyone that comments on the page.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of why I'm doing the show the way that I'm doing it today, is because there's been all kinds of questions on what we're going to do with this money, about the salary cap, about you know, how we can contend for a Super Bowl, and this is what's available. This is what's there, and we're going to take a look at all these different things, you know. And those were just kind of like the defensive line guys, you know. And if we wanted to,
let's look at the corners. Yeah,
there's
number one.
I mean, no surprise right there, right?
Right, Jalen Johnson, L'Jarius Sneed. Those guys aren't going to leave their teams, right? That's what we're expecting. Though they're going to find a way to keep those guys.
Well, they don't have franchise tag next to Sneed right here. So, I mean, if this guy becomes available, I mean, if they offered him a 3-year, $17.5 million a year deal for Sneed, would you do it?
17, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's not quite Jalen Ramsey money.
Yeah, and he's a bona fide number one corner, definitely better than Cameron Sutton.
Well, let's take a look at those numbers on the right, though. 2021, 2022, you can see he's improved every year. So he hasn't been that solid, clear-cut number one for 3 years. It's only this last year. So that gives me a little trepidation as far as signing him to a 3-year, 4-year top money deal.
Okay, well, let's move down.
Kendall Fuller, real solid player. Washington Commanders in the middle of a big rebuild over there, especially on the defense.
And look at those scores. 81, 76, 83. This guy's been a consistently good cornerback.
Yep.
For the last 3 years.
Does it say his height?
I mean, we can go into it. Let's see.
It doesn't say it on that graphic, though.
Yep. So right here.
5'11". 5'11". Not long enough. Okay. We need a long corner out there on the X.
So this is where
Chidobe. Shadow Chidobe.
Yeah. I think this one right here, this is one of the Ballreich man crushes is right here. You would like to see this guy, especially at that contract level. You know, if you could get him at 10 million, I mean, you're liking that, right?
Chidobe Awuzie. Chidobe Awuzie.
That's nice.
You gonna try it?
No.
Chidobe Awuzie.
Dude, it took me 2.5 years to get Ifeatu Melifonwu. I mean, I'm not gonna.
It absolutely did.
So don't ask me to learn guys that I don't even know. If he becomes part of the team and he signs a 2-year deal, I'll think about it.
Scroll down. Who else we got after Chidobe?
Right. Yeah, my man crush would be to get Stephon Gilmore in here.
Let's look at his measurables.
Okay.
6-footer. That's the minimum.
Yeah, but look at that consistency. It's just another guy that is a pro.
Yep. And you're talking about a former defensive player of the year.
Yep. I mean, and somebody that would probably, it says 1 year, 10 million. This sounds like a guy that Brad would get here for 1 year, 6.5, you know?
Honestly, though, at 10 million, doesn't that seem like a good price for Stephon Gilmore?
Sure. I mean, but we're trying to compete here, and we need more than one cornerback. And I think that Brad might bring that up. You know, it's like, let's try to get this. Let's not get. We'll give you some incentives that could get you to 10 million, maybe. I don't know about anything about Steven Nelson. Let's take a look at him. 5'11". Yeah, he ain't long enough. You don't like him under 6, do you?
He's a former Oregon State Beaver.
Let's see.
I'm just going to leave it there. Adoree Jackson. This is a guy that Jeremy B's looking at it hard. 5'11", 185, runs a 4.4.
Not a very good year.
They had a bad defense. I mean, they had a bad secondary there in New York. He was just the best guy.
Yep.
Keyshawn Nixon, they're not going to let him go. He's a return.
But look at
he's an all-pro return man.
But what you look at the PFF rankings. I mean, we'll just stay in the top 100 right here. Those, I mean, when you're getting that low, you're talking about the second wave of free agencies. Yeah, I mean, but these top end guys, you can make your team better. I mean, there's a number of those guys. I think they could sign 3 of those mid guys and they would make our team way better. You know, a defensive tackle, an edge rusher, and a starting level cornerback right in free agency. And then, wow, that would really change the complexion of our draft. And then we're going to get into some extensive draft coverage. I know that Jeremy B gets into that a lot more. He's talking about a lot of the guys. And I do like comparing and contrast to the guys that are, you know, the top level guys now, and after they run around in shorts in Indianapolis, it usually changes, but they're getting better at it. You know, over the last couple of years, been checking the PFF guys. They've been a lot closer on their initial breakdowns, and there hasn't been as much of a shuffle. You know, you're talking like 4 or 5 guys that were, you know, they weren't thinking about shot up. I mean, maybe a couple things like that, but nothing crazy.
Detroit Fan Man says, do we think Colby Sorsdahl is already the Jonah Jackson replacement, or would it be prudent to draft a day 1 or 2 offensive tackle? Stash him at guard until Decker retires, like Kingsley Suamataya, Penny's cousin.
Right.
Well, I think when we saw Colby Sorsdahl play, he struggled bad, right? So I don't think he is the heir apparent. He's a late round draft pick. He's a developmental piece that's going to be rotational at best at this point. So no, I don't think Colby is that. And I would not go for drafting an offensive lineman in the first round because the defense needs help. Again, that's all going to be determined by what we do in free agency.
Correct.
So absolutely, Fan Man.
So throw that back up there, because I wanted to respond to him too, because I think that when you got guys like Broderick Martin, Derek Barnes, Ifeatu Melifonwu, this is not like, we don't know yet. Like poor Colby, coming from that small school, they knew that they were going to have to develop him for a couple of years, and, you know, drafted, they trained him as a guard. I mean, this guy, we were so short at offensive lineman that he played right tackle and hadn't practiced at it. So he got put into some awful positions this year. And I think that he's going to be on right there on the 53 practicing and continuing to learn. I don't think he's the heir apparent, but if they do go into free agency and they do pick up, you know, a D tackle and fill these holes, you know, get a couple cornerbacks, you know, maybe one starting level cornerback, a D tackle, and another edge rusher, and you're feeling good about those. Yeah, absolutely. Number 29 overall, I could see that being an offensive lineman that can also play center. I could see the second round pick also being another offensive lineman, and a whole bunch of fans going in their mock drafts, throwing them and crumbling them up and throwing them. I can't believe they took offensive lineman.
Right.
But that's what we need long term here, guys. We got great offensive linemen, but we need to build for the future as well.
Well, to that point, Mel Kiper's initial draft board that he put out already has 5 offensive linemen being taken before the Lions pick at 29. So very, very, very possible that one of these offensive linemen is a total stud that Brad Holmes has just got to have, and they could package something up, move up and get him, or maybe they'll still be around at 29 because, Kuiper's not right that much. So 5 offensive linemen before pick 29 on Kuiper's big board. So yeah, definitely, especially if we were able to get some defensive pieces in free agency. Hey, fan man, I think that's a real possibility. Like Russell said, Brad Holmes could go up and keep the strength of this team intact and keep building it.
For sure. When it comes to like centers and guards, I'm bringing that up right now, and it feels like that the Lions are going to be able to hit some home runs here in the second and third round when it comes to these interior offensive linemen. Let me see if I can get this thing to bring it back up here. There we go. Good stuff. So when you look at when you see the PFF rank, that is overall. Okay. And so that is everything. So when you look at the 17th overall prospect right now, and if it stayed like that, I could see the Lions saying if Jackson Powers Johnson, if he is the 17th overall prospect, if that guy, that interior offensive lineman slipped to 29, that would be the pick at 29 because the value is there. And boom, that looks like a guy that you plug in at left guard and there it is. Boom, or that, and that's the only one that's in that level. Because when you're looking at that, right? But then these other ones like Zach Frazier, Christian Haynes, Christian Mahogany, those are, second, third round, right? You might even be able to get a fourth round. That's where these guys, that's where you make your money.
I like Chad saying we aren't picking at 29. You can book it. So I agree with you, Chad. I don't think we're going to be picking at 29 either. I think we're going to move up. Russ, you've already said you think we're going to move up.
I do. And it's something about the core of our team is filled, guys. And we have the ability to bring back pretty much the entire team. Like all of our free agents are those tweener guys, the Romeo Okwara, yeah, you got, Jerry Jacobs. Craig Reynolds. Yeah, I think that you do bring a handful of these guys back, but none of them are like, whoa, oh, I can't believe, what are we going to do without,
Graham Glasgow.
Well, okay. So Graham Glasgow. So we make him a high priority. I think that either Graham Glasgow or Jonah Jackson or both will be signed. I don't think that they're looking to make too many changes. And that still don't mean that they won't go out and draft a left guard in the first and second round, even if they bring those guys back. Because he's thinking they're not even going to make an impact for another 2 years.
And the Tracy Walker thing happened right after we signed off yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, literally within 5 minutes of us saying goodbye to the audience, the Tracy Walker news dropped. So we might be looking at that every day up until the combine during this free agency thing.
You think so? I don't know.
I don't know. It's interesting though. But I got to jump off, Russ. God bless each and every one of you. Main Event Mike, peace out.
Main Event Mike on the peace out. There you go. So who do you think they're going to get? There's some people. I really think, that they could do that. They could go out into the free agency and they can make a couple of these moves. You're looking at that over the cap. There's some moves that we can make to make even more moves. You extend Jared Goff, you extend Taylor Decker. You look at that base salary, you're going to be able to convert a lot of that. But I want to thank everybody for watching today. I want to encourage everybody to go over to our Patreon. If you like what you're hearing, support the show, patreon.com/Villain Squad. We will talk a little bit about the other teams in the NFC North in this offseason because, you know, a lot of these top free agents, they apply to them too. You know, is Justin Fields going to be the quarterback? We're going to hit some of that stuff tomorrow. What's the Minnesota Vikings going to do at quarterback? We're going to hit some of that stuff tomorrow. The Green Bay Packers, look out. Look out. Good young team. But faith, family, and football. That's what we do here. Faith, family, and football in that order. Thank you, everybody who uses our link. Our link in there for NTC Church. Pastor Kevin Galloway is out in the community doing outreach. And that's what that giving link is for. So if you use that, you're helping us do outreach in Genesee County. Helping people that are less fortunate. Faith, family, and football. Family and football part, that's easy. Watching football, spending time with your family. Use football. Use football for those moments. Don't let football use you. Don't turn into a butt when they lose. So, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again tomorrow. Afternoon football talk with Russell Wayne.
What's up, y'all? This is Ifeatu Melifonwu, safety for the Detroit Lions. And I just want to take some time out to give a big shout out to Russell Wayne and Main Event Mike from the Detroit Lions Villain Squad. It's a fan page and a podcast. And I just want to say I appreciate the support of me and my team. And I encourage everyone to go check out their podcast and check out their fan page. Go Lions.